Welcome to Pay-to-Play Impressions for NBA Live 18. This game is available on Xbox One and PlayStation 4, and it's pretty much a sports game with an RPG-like elements and a team management aspects in it. The multiplayer in this game will be going away on May 6th, 2021, so therefore you consider that the multiplayer aspects of it are not there, and so if you decide for some reason to get the game, keep in mind that you only have to be considering this on the single player, a single player pretty much purposes of a game, right? Or pretty much on the basis of a single player the game has. So what the game is about? Well, there's two things about. There's a story mode, but is about where you make a customized player and you try to rise to the top of the basketball world. So here it is. You have your customized player. You can design the look of the player and so on. And you also design what kind of skills and what kind of play style the player will have, and based on that you kind of say, here it is the RPG elements of the game. Once you get the skills, you can skill points, you can upgrade your skills, and depending on those upgrades you will get certain improvements. So you see there we getting more pass accuracy and so on. Now not every single one, of course, these upgrades will really upgrade the skill. Sometimes they'll just give you some kind of a cosmetic, like a better animation, so something like that for the skill. Oh, in this case it will give you Snickers, right? So there you go. So from that perspective, it's kind of RPG like, but it's not always at the same time RPG like. Now, besides this, the story mode, there's also the franchise mode. Let me get out there right now and get into show you what the franchise mode is about, and what it's like. So there you go. There's a franchise mode where you pretty much play. Well, you choose a team first, and then you play as that team, and you manage that team. In the franchise mode, you get to manage everything. So you play that, you get to play the games, you also get to manage your team, deciding who's going to be playing, how much is going to playing. You can hire players, you can trade players, there's injuries and so on. So from that perspective, you got a lot of capabilities to kind of manage everything. Like how long the players will be in the game is also available to you. That it's also possible for you to manage. So, and then once you decide on all that stuff, like you can go ahead and play either full game, in which case you are playing the game. You play as each player. Once you can switch between them. That's also available. Or you can play the moment. Now, the playing the moment means that the game will be simulated for you until you decide to jump in at a certain time and play it yourself. And finally, you can simulate the whole game. Now, if you play the moment, what will happen is that you will see the game just represented type of on top, from the view on top, with the basketball court being seen there, and there will be circles indicating where the shots were taken, which ones missed, which ones didn't, and so on, but not much more. There's going to be also a line of indication that will be going there and telling you what's happening. Who passed to whom, who's doing the shooting, but in terms of the player names. But that's all you're gonna see. And simulate the game will just shoot you out the score and say, here's your stats also for the players. Go analyze the stats, and that's all. That's all you get. And play the full game, you actually get to see the game, but you have to play it. I would love to have to see something along the lines of being able to say simulate the game or play the moment, and being actually to watch the game happening on the screen. But you don't get that. So, but if you're interested in the kind of leading a team to the top, and you can choose any team you want, there's plenty of teams here. All the NBA teams are represented. You can play that mode, or like I'm going to show you right now the story mode and exactly how the story plays itself. So here we are. Now there's a tutorial in the game, and there's also introduction to the story that kind of acts also the tutorial as well. And once you went through that, you can either play in the league, or you play the Pro Am Tour or some other events and so on. So that will be available to you. So let's go into the league, and I'll show you how the game actually operates in the league itself, because it kind of continues on the whole idea of the story that is in the game of your player rising to the top. So I'm just going to wait for this film to load so we can see what's going on here. Yep, so there we are. So you get to, similar to the franchise, you get to see the news and so on, but here you're just kind of controlling your only one player. And here we see On top, there's messages like that you get from people. You have to respond to them, which will grant you some kind of extra benefits or extra kind of assignments that you can think of that you need to do during next game. And then you can either simulate the game, which means again the game will shoot you out the stats and that's it, or you can play the full game. And that's what I will do because, well, I think that's a more interesting method of playing the game rather than just going out looking at the stats. I guess you can just go by the stats, but I think looking at those kind of stats is a boring way approach. So here we start off. There's a point to this kind of starting line because it shows you the enemy starting line. Well, the opposing team starting line, and your starting line, or who you're gonna be playing with at the same time. And it allows you to pick and choose some of your characteristics before you get into the game, so that you kind of more matching your team and you more opposing the opponent's team. Sorry, the enemy's team. Alright, as you can tell, I'm not a very big sports game player, so I'm telling it from the perspective of a person who just dabbles in the sports games just to see what they are. So keep that in mind. So there you go. We're going to go ahead and jump into the actual gameplay. The game again shows me some tutorial stuff. Now there's an excellent tutorial in the game that teaches you everything. They walk you through all the different ways, the moves and so on that you have. Different ways to shoot the ball, different ways to pass the ball, different ways to kind of go around the opponents and to do so. All that's available to you, and you can also practice it as much as you want to get it right, so that remember how to get it. And here we're starting off in the game itself, and usually there's gonna be a certain amount of music and so on. I turn that all off for simple reason is that because usually all the songs are copyrighted, and therefore playing them and streaming them and so on is pretty much a way to get a copyright strike on you. So therefore music is turned off, but you're gonna get the commentary, you're gonna get the ambient sound, everything else is there. As you can see, again, the game is excellent that way. It's you got all this usual commentary that you get when you watch the sports games. Excellent that way. So now I'm on the bench right now, so therefore I'm watching the game unfold, and this would have been the great way to do the whole simulation method of the game. If you could have just watched the game unfold like that, well, in the franchise mode, I would love that. I would totally love that. But you don't get that, sadly. You just skip to the score and the stats. Now, what I also like to show you is that if you look on top left section, there it says 70. That's my character's performance in this game right now. It can go up or down depending how well I play. So if I do wrong things, this number will go down. If I do the right things, number will go up, and that determines my further progress in the game. Now the game will progress regardless if you're playing horribly or not. That's kind of strange, I find it, but the game does tell you, say, okay, we'll still let you progress, but there's some impact. Let's say in the introduction section of the game, it will impact, the way you play in the introduction will impact how you're gonna get drafted into the league. So there's some impacts there, but generally it seems to be the players, everybody still is just totally think that you're doing fine even though you're doing horrible, like the first time I was playing that introduction section. So now if I want to jump into the game itself, which is something interesting, I just go and press simulate the game, and then I'll ask them to push me towards time when I'm gonna be the first time appearing in the game, and here I am. So here it is, and the game is here. Actually, it's kind of telling me like where to be, where to stand, in a way it's actually teaching me to play basketball. Now here's another problem I have usually is that sometimes the camera will position itself such that I will not be able to see where I am and where the other players are, and so therefore it will be kind of difficult for me to actually move towards in the defensive position, because I'm not sure where I am and where's the person I'm supposed to be defending. Like right now I can't even see myself, but that's fine. Okay, so let's hopefully if I like I said, if I do right things, the game score will increase. My score in the game will increase. If I do wrong things, it will not. So one of the things, let's say if I let the guy who's supposed to be defending scoring, that's gonna be horrible. Let me see if I'm gonna get at some point the ball, to show you guys a bit more of the game itself. Now the game's telling me that I should be here again, and well, Sadly, I can't seem to get to show at least anything in the game how it works.
Even though the offensive team scored the ball, that was good
There you go. I missed that one, and he almost made a shot. If he would have made a shot and scored it, I would be penalized for it because he was not undefended. So from this perspective, I actually like the fact that the game is allowing kind of or teaching a bit about gameplay in the basketball. Here it is, I am, and I can dribble the ball differently, or I can shoot it, and which I will miss, and therefore I get penalized because I did the wrong thing. Now I can try to steal the ball also. Like I said, there's plenty of moves that you can make here if you remember the proper button combinations and if you properly do things here. Right? And there you go. That's actually again a penalizing move because I held on to the ball for too long, and I'm going to get penalized again for it. So as you can see now, I didn't get to show you much here. There's going to be a break here, and I believe I can skip through that. And so let's and now I'm on the bench again. So, but that's generally the approach of the game. So as I will progress, as I play better and better, I will get more time to play on the court, and therefore you get to kind of influence the game and the outcome of each game much more. So overall, what do I think of this game? Well, I think it's a very good game because it does teach you certain aspects about basketball. It teaches you saying that, well, you should do this or you should not do that. You should stand here in such and such a situation when your team is in such and such position. So from that perspective, it's kind of interesting. How useful it is to a person who actually plays basketball, I'm not sure, because to some of them they might be saying, well, it's like a basic stuff. You learn that from the very beginning. Maybe that's the case, for me, last time I played basketball was in high school, and that was a long time ago. So sadly, I can't remember exactly how much I knew back then when I was playing. I don't think I knew much. But for a person who plays more, maybe to them, a lot of these elements would be basic. But at the same time, I don't really see benefit for me of learning different button combinations just to dribble the ball or pass the ball in a certain different way, or go around the opponents here, because I would rather see or learn that if I was playing the game on actual physical court. So what about the cool rating of this game? Well, generally I consider the sports games to be uncool, and the reason is again because it's much cooler to go and play the game physically yourself. I think you're gonna learn as much and maybe more than playing a video game on your screen. From that perspective, I believe that's a way better activity, and for me, I would say this is a reason sports games are generally uncool. Now, this game is actually seriously uncool, and I'm gonna show you why. As I'm gonna get out and further back into the main menu of the game, and this is because of this. The Ultimate Team section, which is a fantasy team type of approach to the game. The game allows you to build your fantasy team and kind of play it against other people in multiplayer. Sounds great, doesn't it? In that way, it can simulate the whole ideas of building the right team with the right players, because it kind of goes beyond that whole franchise management section here, because you're less constrained by the contracts, money, and so on. That's kind of thrown out. This is a fantasy team. Here's the problem: when you go out there play, well, say right now I have mostly bronze players available to me. I do have one player, a gold player there, but that player is only there for limited number of games. Then he will go away. So I will only have a bronze players in my lineup, which will mean is that if I go up against somebody who has better players, they might just dominate purely on the fact that your players have better characteristics than I do have. So how do I get better players? Well, I buy a loot box. Right? And I rely on chance to get it. And how do I get money to buy the loot box? Well, you can use a real world currency for that. So in other words, this is a predatory mechanic right there. You want to get better in multiplayer? Why don't you buy more loot boxes, right? So you can get better players. It does not rely as much on your skin. Yeah, you can get also, this used to be you can do some kind of challenges and play that stuff, but the game pretty much allows you to use a loot box mechanic to buy power. And that's seriously uncool. That's a predatory mechanic, and that's the reason I think this game is seriously uncool. Alright, well, thank you for watching and for listening. If you like this video, please like it. If you didn't like it, don't like it. And please follow and subscribe.